Fear isn't always loud. Often, it's a subtle whisper that keeps you stuck in a loop, frozen by the unknown. But life demands more of you. It asks you to step into the unknown, to take risks despite the discomfort. This is where Stoicism comes in. The Stoics faced their fears head-on, knowing that real growth is born from discomfort. They understood that fear is not something to eliminate, but to use as a tool. Today, we'll explore how Stoicism can help you navigate the fear of taking risks, turning uncertainty into opportunity and stagnation into action. So let's start with our first one, the lie of comfort. We've all been there, stuck in a job, a relationship, or a mindset that feels safe. But what if safety is an illusion? Comfort is a tempting trap, but one that comes at a high cost. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, once said, "Well-being is realized by small steps, but is truly no small thing." He understood that staying in comfort keeps us from those small, essential steps that lead to genuine growth. Imagine standing still while the world moves on. You're protected, sure, but from what? The longer you cling to comfort, the more you risk losing what truly matters. Your potential, your creativity, your ambition. A life lived entirely in comfort slowly drains your purpose, replacing it with monotony. Consider someone who refuses to leave a cushy job that no longer challenges them. Every day, they repeat the same tasks, drifting further from the person they could become. They aren't avoiding risk, they're risking their own potential. The Stoics saw comfort for what it is, a mirage. It promises safety, but what it delivers is stagnation. True freedom comes from challenging your limitations, not protecting them. When you step outside that illusion of safety, you might stumble. But those stumbles are steps forward. Don't mistake comfort for fulfillment. The Stoics remind us that growth lies beyond the boundaries of what's familiar. Risk stepping into the unknown, because the real danger is in staying still. Second, let the worst happen in your mind, then move forward. We all have that moment when fear grips us, when the worst-case scenario feels too terrifying to face. But ignoring these fears doesn't make them disappear. It makes them stronger. Seneca's lesser-known phrase, "He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary," holds a powerful lesson. You give your fears more power by avoiding them. Instead, do what the Stoics did. Confront your fear head-on by imagining the worst. This technique, called premeditatio malorum, is not about despair. It's about demystifying what you fear most. Picture everything going wrong. You lose the job, you face public embarrassment, you fail. Fully immerse yourself in that dread. Now, ask yourself, if this happened, would it destroy you? Most often, the answer is no. You'll survive. You'll adapt. And knowing this, you disarm the fear. It's no longer an ominous shadow looming over your life. When you strip fear of its mystery, you find clarity. The imagined fall is never as devastating as the one fear creates in your mind. Take someone who wants to start a new business but is paralyzed by the idea of failing. By envisioning their worst fears, bankruptcy, rejection, they realize that even in failure, they'll be okay. Failure won't end them. It will teach them. The Stoics remind us that it's not the fall that defines you, but how you rise after. By imagining the worst, you find strength to take risks because fear no longer controls you. You've already faced it in your mind. Now, you can move forward. Third, risk isn't recklessness. It's calculation. Too often, we equate risk with recklessness. But Stoicism teaches us that true risk is calculated, not chaotic. Chrysippus, an early Stoic philosopher, had a saying, "If you live according to nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to opinion, you will never be rich." Here, nature refers to reason, making choices not driven by impulse, but by thoughtful calculation. Picture this. You want to quit your secure job to pursue your passion, but fear holds you back. Instead of making an impulsive leap, the Stoic approach is to plan, prepare, and mitigate the risks. You build a financial cushion, refine your skills, and network with people who can help you succeed. The risks are real, but they are no longer overwhelming because you've prepared for them. This isn't about playing it safe. It's about playing it smart. Stoicism embraces risk, but not recklessness. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily of life's uncertainty with the phrase, "You could leave life right now." This wasn't a call to recklessness. It was a call to live fully within the moment, but with awareness. The Stoics teach us to act within our control, and part of that control is preparation. Risk, when embraced wisely, isn't a jump off a cliff. It's a well-planned ascent. You may not control the outcome, but you control how prepared you are to face it. The next time you're standing at the edge of a decision, ask yourself, have I done everything I can to stack the odds in my favor? If yes, then move forward. Stoicism demands action, but action grounded in reason, not impulse. Fourth, embrace the chaos. You were built for it. Life is unpredictable. The more you try to control it, the more chaos pushes back. For many, chaos is terrifying. But for the Stoics, chaos was a fact of life. Life is chaos, but we can still find order in our own minds, said Musonius Rufus, a Stoic often overshadowed by the more famous names. He believed that we are built for chaos, not to avoid it, but to thrive within it. Imagine a person suddenly losing their job. Everything they thought was secure crumbles, and they find themselves in the middle of chaos. Most people react by scrambling to rebuild their lost structure, seeking stability. But what if instead, you leaned into the chaos? Chaos, after all, is where the greatest opportunities lie. The Stoics understood that life will never be fully controllable, but your response to it is always within your power. When life feels like it's spiraling, it's not a signal to retreat. It's a call to adapt. The Stoic principle here is to not only endure chaos, but to see it as the raw material for growth. Think of a storm. You can't stop it, but you can choose to harness its wind. Someone facing sudden upheaval can panic or pivot. By embracing chaos, they see new paths that were previously invisible. The Stoics urge us to see life's randomness not as something to fear, but as something to shape. You were built to withstand the unpredictable, to face life's uncertainty with strength. When chaos comes, embrace it. It's not an obstacle to your plans. It's the very thing that makes real growth possible. You don't just survive the storm. You learn to sail through it. Fifth, you are not special. And that's your power. You might think your fear of failure is unique, that your fall will be more public, more devastating than anyone else's. But the Stoics remind us, you are not special, and that's your strength. No one cares about your fame but you, said Hierocles, a Stoic philosopher whose teachings focused on the insignificance of personal glory. To many, this sounds demoralizing, but the Stoics saw it differently. When you realize that you are just one of billions, that your failures are not world-shattering, you are freed from the paralyzing fear of judgment. Picture someone terrified to share their creative work because they believe the world is watching. The fear of judgment holds them back. But Stoicism teaches that the world is indifferent. People are not obsessing over your every move, and this indifference is liberating. Imagine the freedom of not being weighed down by the fear of others' opinions. When you understand that your life is a fleeting moment in the vastness of existence, the pressure to succeed at every turn dissolves. This isn't nihilism, it's empowerment. You're free to take risks, free to fail, because in the grand scheme of things, failure is just a blip. Consider an artist who finally shares their work with the world. Initially, the fear of judgment looms large, but they soon realize that most people are too wrapped up in their own lives to care about one person's perceived failure. With this realization, they become unstoppable. The Stoics remind us that we are insignificant in the eyes of the universe, and that's precisely what makes us powerful. You have nothing to lose because, ultimately, your failures are inconsequential to anyone but you. So take the risk. The weight you're carrying is lighter than you think. Sixth, the real enemy is time. We believe fear is what holds us back, but time is the real enemy. Every moment spent hesitating is a moment wasted. Seneca's insight, while we waste our time hesitating and postponing, life is slipping away, strikes at the heart of procrastination. The future you dream of won't wait for you. Imagine wanting to start a new venture, whether it's a career change or personal project. You tell yourself, I'll wait until I'm ready, but readiness is an illusion. Life doesn't pause for your convenience. Time marches on, indifferent to your plans. The Stoics understood that time is our most precious resource, and it's constantly slipping away. We think we have endless tomorrows, but those tomorrows quickly turn into yesterdays. By waiting for the perfect moment to take a risk, you risk letting time steal your potential. The truth is, the only time you have is now. Consider someone who dreams of traveling the world, but keeps delaying for the right time. Years pass, and that dream remains just that, a dream. The right time never arrived because it doesn't exist. Time is the real thief, not fear. Stoicism teaches us to live urgently, with an awareness that time is finite. Don't let procrastination fool you into believing there will always be a better moment. By the time you think you're ready, you may have already missed your chance. Life's opportunities don't wait for perfection. They come and go, and it's up to you to seize them. The Stoics remind us that time is fleeting, and waiting is the most dangerous risk of all. Take the leap now, because every second of hesitation is time you'll never get back. Seventh, failure is the price of admission. Failure is not a possibility, it's a guarantee. But Stoicism teaches that failure isn't the end. It's the cost of progress. Epictetus often overlooked quote, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are," captures the essence of this lesson. Failure isn't your enemy, it's your teacher. Imagine a person who dreams of becoming a writer but is afraid of rejection. They never submit their work, avoiding the sting of failure. But in doing so, they also avoid the lessons that come with rejection, lessons that could make them better. Stoicism teaches us to embrace failure, not shy away from it. Every risk you take comes with a high likelihood of failure, but it's through that failure that you grow. Each misstep teaches you something new, revealing areas where you need to improve, adapt, or change course. Consider an entrepreneur launching a startup. The odds are stacked against them, and failure is almost certain. But with every setback, they learn what doesn't work, refining their strategy. The Stoics remind us that failure is not an obstacle. It's the pathway to success. Avoiding failure is the real failure. By not risking anything, you fail to grow. Failure is the toll you pay to travel the road to success. Without it, you stay stagnant, locked in a cycle of mediocrity. The Stoics knew that the more you risk, the more you expose yourself to failure, and that's exactly where the most significant growth happens. So, instead of fearing failure, welcome it. It's a necessary part of the journey, a sign that you're moving forward, not standing still. Failure isn't fatal, it's fuel. Eighth, risk forces you to confront who you really are. Taking a risk doesn't just threaten your external world, it forces you to confront your internal one. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of knowing oneself, and nothing reveals your true character like risk. As Musonius Rufus once said, "Virtue is the ability to face and endure the unknown." When you take a risk, you strip away the illusions you've built about yourself. In the moment of uncertainty, when you can no longer rely on routine, you discover your resilience or your lack of it. Risk is a mirror that reflects who you truly are. Imagine someone who's always avoided risk, content with a steady, predictable life. The moment they decide to step out of their comfort zone, whether by pursuing a new career, moving to a new city, or ending a stagnant relationship, they're forced to confront their fears, insecurities, and limitations. This confrontation is uncomfortable but necessary. The Stoics teach that real growth happens when you face yourself, unshielded by the false security of routine. Risk forces you to reckon with your strengths and weaknesses, to evaluate your character with brutal honesty. Take the example of someone starting a new venture. The process will test their patience, resilience, and adaptability. Every setback will reveal something about their character, forcing them to dig deeper. The Stoics believe that risk isn't just about external success, it's about self-discovery. By embracing risk, you're not just putting your external success on the line. You're embarking on an internal journey of self-exploration. The Stoics saw this as the highest form of growth. In the end, it's not the outcome of the risk that matters most. It's the person you become by taking it. The fear of taking risks is not something to be eliminated, but understood and harnessed. Through Stoicism, we learn that uncertainty is where life's most profound opportunities reside. It's in stepping outside the known that we find our true strength, our capacity to grow. By embracing chaos and facing our fears, we turn obstacles into fuel for progress. The question is, What will you do with that fear now? Will you let it hold you back or let it push you forward? If you're ready for more, explore our other videos that dive deeper into mastering life's challenges. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us on this journey.